Um, so Dave Brown now is with me today, and we've talked in the past about BYU Tech Transfer. Now you're the director over Tech Transfer.
Yep. I'm the director, and I do our software licensing directly. Yep.
Okay. Because and this is at BYU. So BYU is I don't know if anybody's heard, they've got a pretty good football program these days.
Yeah.
So
I'm all right too.
Yeah. So it's been kind of interesting to get that kind of exposure that hasn't really had for a while. But it's so anyway, what I wanted to a lot of people don't realize there's a lot of technologies that come out of universities, and that the same thing with like government with a lot of things that come out of government. For instance, what is that? Trying to remember what pain reliever that came out of the BYU chemistry program.
Oh, sure. Yeah, COX-2 inhibitor. So it's Celebrex.
Yeah, Celebrex. That's right. And then, BYU licensed it, but then they had to, there was a dispute with the pharmaceutical company for a while there.
Yep.
But there's a lot of things. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that comes out of the research that happens on campus. So I wanted to, so how does that go about? How does that happen in a university? Is that, I mean, grants to start it, or where does the problem start?
Yeah. So here's the traditional route, and this is what happens in most universities, and it's most of what we do here too. So professors will get research funded somehow. So that could be federal grants. BYU proportionally has less of its money coming from federal grants than other universities. Some universities have really been hit this year as federal grants have been cut back. It's been less for BYU. But then there are other sources of funding. Sometimes foundations fund research as well. Private corporations do. And you can have institutional funding. Large universities with major endowments will use endowment funds to fund research. So anyway, one way or another, they get their research funded, and then they're in the lab and they do something innovative. And they're supposed to, at that point, think, okay, I'm going to go tell Tech Transfer about this technology. And professors, especially in the STEM fields, are pretty good about that, because they know, like, imagine you're a professor in engineering, 99.9% of them really care about their technology getting out in the world. They're making things to help people. So they'll have a sense of when they think something's ready for market, and then they come talk to Tech Transfer. We'll hire outside patent attorneys to protect the idea, and then we license it to someone. Traditionally, in the past, so I've been in Tech Transfer for 15 years. At the beginning, I would say most licensing happened to established companies, but the whole industry has shifted strongly towards startups. And there are really for that. Yeah. But it's more likely than ever that we would launch a new company if a technology can sustain it. One way or another, though, we get it out into industry, and then it either succeeds or doesn't. The university technologies actually succeed at a much higher level than average technologies. And you can see some reasons. It's deeper research. There's maybe better patent protection and some other things. But that's the process. And so I really, it's frustrating to see resources be wasted. That's why microcredit and micro loans are so inspiring to me, because you're avoiding the waste of human capital, And we have all these great inventions that are created at universities, smart people doing innovative things. And so you don't want to waste it. You want it out there where it can help people.
Right. I agree. I think it's, it's hard. It's just, the hard part is putting people together so that, it's available, or that it gets done. I know my brother, he got it was a private grant, I think, on campus, but it was, I don't really know, but it was like Jimmer Juice at the time. There was a company that was going to try and put together that.
Yeah. Zoom drinks. Yep.
Yeah. And I don't know where it went with that, but my brother's a physiologist, exercise physiologist. So he would study muscle research is what he was really known for.
So that was super interesting. I was here, that was early in my time here, but what they were doing is they were making clear, drinkable protein drink. And, Jimmer was here and having an amazing year at the time. And so there's some branding opportunity there too with him. But it was really ahead of its time to have a drinkable juice-like protein drink. And maybe it was too ahead of its time. I don't know. It did okay for a while. I'm not sure the status of the company now, but now I don't know. Have you tried carbonated protein sodas? That like
A little bit. I haven't really tried a lot of it, but it's part of it's kind of my price point. I've
Oh
got
yeah,
a little cheap, but
they're expensive. That's the next problem to solve, but they're good.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I know like Bucked Up is starting to do some things like with that and a few others.
Yeah, I think like that's probably the best actually, but yeah.
You know, they and that's interesting how they've grown like crazy.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
but anyway, it's you know, there was in the nitrogen space, there was in University of Iowa, there was back in the late 90s, there were some grad students that worked on a machine, and I don't think they ended up doing it as a grad students. I think they did it on the side, but they came up with a machine that they got a patent on that was using nitrogen. They called it reactor. And it was the interesting thing that I thought was that as I talked to different people that have different backgrounds, whether it's microbiologists or you know, and they may be in the same field, but they come at it from a different thought process. And so they attack the problem from entirely different, you know, viewpoints.
Yeah.
Because the Dippin' Dots guy uses nitrogen, but he was a microbiologist and he was trying to freeze samples.
Oh, that's interesting.
So it was like it just the whole thought process was entirely different.
Yeah, Gary, have I ever talked about the carbonated products? You know, BYU had carbonated ice cream. Did you know that?
I remember reading about it. I don't know anything other than I don't remember ever seeing it in the marketplace.
Yeah, for a while here on campus, and this was just a couple of years ago. So I think it's still something that's out there. But they were running a test, and in our vending machines, it would be like a little, like, you know, one of those mini soda cans, like half a soda can. You would get it and it'd be root beer, but you pop the lid off and then it's ice cream, but it was carbonated and tasted like root beer. And they did it with orange and other flavors. It actually worked really well. It was good.
Yeah, you do. I mean, if you use dry ice, I mean, it would work that way. I mean, that's what you know, like Pop Rocks is encapsulating. I mean, it's hot, the candy's hot, then it's encapsulating that carbon dioxide within the candy, but using dry ice.
Well, for the carbonated ice cream, the can concept was good because initially they tried it in paper containers and they would blow up. You know, it just couldn't.
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
Yep.
Yeah, I've actually been thinking about canning instead of using a package. You know, because some of the clear cans that are out there right now, you know, still make it visual.
Yeah.
And then you can can it. The canning has come along a long ways, you know, where you can do micro canning.
Yeah, well, you guys have such an appealing brand. Have you thought about selling in stores? Like, your flavors are really good. You wouldn't get the presentation, but it's still really good ice cream.
Yeah, right, exactly. And it is a better, you know, we went on campus and did some booths at the Marriott Center for a little while.
Oh yeah.
And I'd probably do it if it wasn't for Manning and me just being the one manning it. I'd probably do it again. But you know, there's a lot of bureaucracy involved with doing something like that. But the reason we talked them into doing it is we'd use their cream, the BYU Creamery cream. But we use a 14% butterfat, which is a great butterfat for us. But the BYU Creamery is a higher butterfat. I don't know what it is, but it's like when using our process where there's no air whip in it, actually tastes like butter.
Oh, okay.
And so it's like too rich. So we'd have to thin it out with but I've been I've got a new process that we're using for larger batch ice cream, and it does a half gallon every 30 seconds, and that's what I've been thinking about, like of trying to think about how do I can it and get it out into other places. Our current process doesn't lend itself, you know, to making, you know, and packing, but you could do it. I mean, you know, but anyway, that's anyway, it's all another problem.
Yeah, and you might package it as more of a premium ice cream. It'd be like little Ben and Jerry's containers or something like that, right? So
what I wanted to do is do gifting where it's personalized and there's a video that goes along with it and it's shipped on dry ice. That's what I really want to do, where it's very hyper personalized. because
Mhm.
there's some companies out there that will do ship to order, and they'll personalize a label, but
Mhm.
that's all the personalization you get. It's not made for them. And I'm
Mhm.
thinking, well, there's no reason why you couldn't do a video as you're making it and saying, Grandpa Joe, here's your ice cream, it's on its way, and here's you're showing it being made.
And it could be, if you're going to do that, it could be a custom flavor as well.
Right, exactly.
Cool.
So, but it's all a matter of like, now I got to get somebody to get the website, up, and what I would want to do is use franchisees that are in different markets as the mini distribution centers.
Oh, that makes sense.
Would be, so we be feeding them sales, but then it's a little, the vision is a little more complicated, but,
Yeah.
and if you know anybody that would want to help out with that, then but anyway.
Yeah, there are other people who have done, like, I know this was years ago, but I knew someone who had Aggie ice cream from Utah State shipped to someone on dry ice. Like, they were offering that service at least for a while, but anyway.
Yeah. And there's a company in the Midwest that does, it's called E-Creamery, and they'll private label it. And so but they do 4 pints. It costs like $75,
Yeah.
So it's pretty expensive, but you're not buying that for the ice cream as much as the novelty and the gifting.
Right.
So, so tell me about, so I studied, I don't know if you knew this, I took a year of industrial design.
Okay.
And so I graduated in chemistry, but one of the things that frustrated me about when I was in the school, and I know it's changed a lot, is that as a designer, you learn how to design all these products, but then they never teach you how to take it to market. So how do you mentor somebody within the system to take something to market?
Yeah. So there are a few things that happen. Different colleges at BYU kind of handle this on their own. So the business school has great classes. Corbin Church teaches a very popular entrepreneurship class. Ryan Smith teaches a class. Like, other well-known entrepreneurs in the area will teach entrepreneurship. But then in the technical schools, they have things like that too. Life sciences is great. They have Tim Jenkins there, teaches a class that I never can remember the name of it, but a number of really good companies have come out of there. Students get together, they're working in a lab, they work on their startup, and they're mentored by a venture capitalist. They bring in a number of VCs to listen to their pitches and things. So it's a very hands-on thing for very technical students who probably wouldn't otherwise have a lot of business exposure. And the results have just been really good. In engineering, one of the main things they do, and this would apply to industrial design too, is the Student Innovator of the Year competition. It's going on right now. And then they give you a budget. I can't remember how much it is, but students get maybe $700 or something to create a prototype. And then, have you been in the new engineering building here? It's pretty new.
I have not.
Okay, in the basement, they have all kinds of equipment, 3D printers and things, but really large industrial equipment too that students can use to create their things, not just for the competition, but engineering students generally. So it's kind of a push for students to get in there and actually create a product that could be commercial. And they pitch, but it's not really about creating a company. It's more about creating the product. A number of companies have come out of it. So that's pretty good. And there's some other classes, often capstone programs or like junior seminars or things will have a business component. In terms of actual mentoring, so you do have to connect with someone individually. There's some, I mentioned Corbin Church's iHub group just off campus is, it's a private thing. It's a nonprofit, not affiliated with the university, but a number of student teams have ended up over there.
It's called iHub?
Yep, IHUB. And they have a good, I think they have a good website, but he's great on LinkedIn. You can find him there easily.
What's his name?
Corbin Church.
Corbin Church.
Yeah, and we have a couple of our companies that have come out of BYU are there, but many other companies, they're not necessarily BYU affiliated at all. And then Make Utah is in Pleasant Grove. They're moving locations. But so Corbin's would be more like software and consumer products mostly. That might not be the exact scope, but that's what it seems like to me. But Make Utah, which is in Pleasant Grove, is more like engineering things. They are more like industrial design sorts of products. And so they have students in there. We had a competition last year in tech transfer. And one of our winners, third place, I think, was a medical device but she came and it was fully prototyped. It looked great. And it's because she was part of Make Utah and she had worked through with them and they had brainstormed and designed with her and created the thing.
Wow.
So
That's really cool.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so fun to build things. I mean, I took the year I took industrial design, one of the projects was designing the entire Mercury Marine engine. You know, so we split up into 4 groups and we make, you know, then everybody designs, you know, put designs out, and then they picked 4, and then split up and then built full-size prototypes for Mercury, and they ended up using the design out of BYU for many years.
Wow, that's cool. We've had Mars rover teams. I don't know how often they do that, but Bennett Mortensen, who's our engineering guy here in Tech Transfer, he was part of a team that did that. And the race car team, I don't know if you've ever seen the bookstore, they have one of the race cars on display that students help design. But these are great projects and really good things to be involved in for sure.
So if you're a student, what would you recommend people? I mean, what would be the first thing you would? Are there seminar classes or something to get them oriented with what they should do?
Yeah, regardless of your major, if it were me, I would take one of the entrepreneurship courses from the business school. Okay. I'm sure it counts as an elective for anyone, but if you think about it, like, so Ryan Smith's class that he teaches, for example, so if anyone's watching doesn't know, he's, you know, he owns the Jazz, he founded Qualtrics, has done really well and is really generous and connected with BYU. But the fact that he teaches a course, that's such a huge opportunity. Like, as a student, I don't care what you're studying, you should register for that class. And he brings in also some celebrity guests and interesting people like that. But he's going to give you a really, like, he did it. He was a student who started a company, and he'll give you just hands-on, here's how it goes. So I would definitely check that out. You have, you need to decide what it is you want to do. Like what sort of enterprise do you want to do? Like, yours kind of grew out of a love for the technology and the concept, right? And so students might have that. If you work in a lab, whatever you're working in a lab, start thinking about that as maybe a business opportunity, maybe something you could get out into the market. And if you're not, like, if you're a straight business student and you're like, all I care about is business, I'm product agnostic, then at least take a look at Tech Transfer, look at some of our technologies. Maybe we have something, or maybe we could connect you with the technical people.
Okay, so now that's something I hadn't thought about. So that's a question, I guess I'm trying to navigate. Like, okay, if you're an entrepreneurial type where you're trying to come up with your own idea, but there's another there's something you brought up. There's a lot of things that Tech Transfer where there isn't an entrepreneur, there's a technology, there's an idea that's already been developed, but somebody needs to take it to market, and they need to pull it. Need to take the business side of it and pull it off into its own business.
Absolutely.
And that's what I think gets confused with tech transfer versus you're trying to transfer the tech rather than develop the tech. It's already been developed.
Well, okay. So I'll take it a step further too. So generally, yes, that's right. And traditionally, like every tech transfer office at a university would say, yes, that's right. But here's something we're doing that's different now. I'm just doing this in software. Ultimately, we'd like to do it everywhere. But our inventors are overwhelmingly from the STEM fields. Like if you're in biology or chemistry or physics, you know that you're an inventor, right? But we have, I don't know how many it would be, 800, 900 professors who aren't in those fields. And they're doing really cutting edge things too in their fields. So this summer I did an experiment. I had a student, an employee of mine, go over to a professor in family life and say, look, we've looked at your publications. We think we can create software based on your line of research. Why don't we create software? You can help us kind of review it, and then we'll put it out in the market. And so we did that. So we coded it here. My employees did it here. And then we licensed that to a student entrepreneur, and it's out there. And so we've scaled up that effort a little bit this fall. So if an entrepreneur came to us and said, look, what I'm really interested in is, I don't know, pick something, anthropology, and I see that you don't have any anthropology technologies, then my response now would be, well, maybe we can get an anthropology technology. Why don't we talk to a professor and look for an opportunity, and we'll be back with you.
Well, with AI, it's the volume of information. Those studies is what the invention is really. If you think about it.
Yeah, well, and you hit on this when we were starting here. The maybe the most important inventive step is really clearly identifying the problem. And professors are actually great for that because they know their field really well. So they've heard from corporate partners and colleagues and so on. They know what problem needs to be solved. So if we can then work with them to create a solution that addresses it, that's a good spot to be.
Yeah, there's we were always fighting, like especially in our early days when yogurt was really surging, and it seemed like, I don't know what's changed, but it seems like everything unhealthy now is like what it's so weird because like, okay, keto, but yet all the Instagram stuff is just this. I can't imagine how you even eat it. It's like, first I look at it and I go, all right, it looks pretty, but how do I put it in my mouth?
It's designed for Instagram, right?
Well, yeah, but you get my point. But my point is, when the yogurt craze was always like, well, it's healthy. But then my brother, like, he's a nutritional scientist, at BYU, and he's a physiologist, but in nutrition and muscle research. And he says, well, Jerry, your product it's only this many calories and it's got 10 grams of protein. He says, it's a health food. And I'm like, I never thought of ice cream as being a health food.
Yeah, it's shifted around so much, but yeah, high protein is huge for sure, no matter what it is.
And so but people, it's all about how you tell the story.
Yeah.
I think it's well, how did you get into tech transfer? So what's your background?
Yeah, so I did my undergrad at BYU. I was always planning on law school, so I studied political science here, and then I went to Georgetown for law school, and then from there I practiced law at a firm called Spencer Fane Britton Brown. I was in their St. Louis office, and I was a commercial bankruptcy litigator. So I tried lots of cases in federal court, argued some appeals, and I actually really enjoyed it. But my wife and I got married, and we started having kids, and I was traveling for trials, and it just seemed like we wanted something a little more stable, family friendly for us. So I decided to come back. So commercial bankruptcy is a very finance intensive discipline of law. And I always felt like, man, I wish I understood financial statements better and just had more of that background. So I came back to BYU to get an MBA and in finance. And then the thought was I'll just go in-house counsel somewhere. But MBA school is 2 years. And so I was here going full time. And so that summer I was like, well, what should I do? There aren't like in-house counsel internships for MBA students necessarily. And so I learned of tech transfer, and it's really a combination of business and law. So I came and worked here for the summer, and then the person they had kind of doing their contracts was leaving. He was retiring. And so I thought, oh, well, maybe. So I came to work here, and then very quickly spread into software licensing as well. And then, so it's been 15 years, but I've been the director for the past 2 years.
So have you, that's really interesting. I mean, it's interesting that I wasn't expecting to go to law school, but that makes sense because you'd have to have the licensing, understanding and how to write contracts, how to review contracts.
Most people in tech transfer are 2 of 3 things, and that would be a subject matter technical expert. So someone with a master's degree in, say, biology or something. I'm not that, but or an attorney, which I am, and some sort of business background. So for me, it's an MBA. Some people will be an entrepreneur who ends up in tech transfer.
Right. I'd always planned to get an MBA, and I thought about law school, the JD MBA, and I was pretty picky about the school I wanted to go to, and my chemistry wasn't very kind to me with my GPA, so I didn't make it. But at any rate, it's there's a lot to learn there. There's a lot I think that I would have benefited if I had gotten an MBA.
It's interesting. It's interesting background. It's kind of like both JD and MBA. You wish everyone could do it just for the background, And right. So I'm happy that I was able to. The in tech transfer, most of what I do, like the hard problems I work on today, feel to me more like business strategy, and law and like basic finance concepts are just like necessary undergirding. You need that. But then we succeed if we do well at things that people in tech transfer often don't want to do, like marketing and like product placement, product placement in the sense of knowing where something fits in the market.
Yeah, it's interesting to see that when people have a specialty, how they're just really good at like like Mike Swenson and Gary Rhodes. It's just like watching them do a sales pitch was just like watching art. You know, it was just the way they could verbalize words and problems and how to solve the problem through a sale.
Yeah,
was just it just fascinated me.
yeah. Some people are so good at it. So
yeah,
I was watching though today, in advance of this, I rewatched part of your Shark Tank presentation. That was awfully good.
oh well, thanks.
The
You know,
marketing.
it's we went in not thinking we were going to get a deal. We just separated from a partner that and it was a very painful separation, and it was painful for another 2 years. But not to get into that, because it was because he didn't want to let us go, and so it was. But at any rate, but that's. But we you know, when we didn't get Barbara, we knew we weren't going to get a deal.
Yeah,
You know, it's like, you know, you have to pick your. I would say, like, if you got to pick who you're presenting to, and then adjust what your speech is going to be about based on that. So we didn't know until the day of that Barbara wasn't going to be there. So it's like, all right, number one, love to get a deal. Number two, be likable.
Yeah.
And so that was our goal. Our goal was like, all right, we're going to go present, show the product, and be likable. That was our so anyway, that was, hopefully there was other people that were in the hotel at the same time we were, and they came off as very unlikable, and some of them got aired, and they got you know, destroyed on air because they were just not likable people. And anyway, it was just kind of funny, interesting to see that.
Well, and a lot of marketing isn't just putting yourself out there, like going on Shark Tank, obviously, tons of work, but being willing to do it. And in the last couple of years, what we've tried to do here is just put ourselves out there with our podcast, with LinkedIn or whatever.
Yeah.
Be visible. No one wants to. You don't want to see yourself on video. Like, most people don't want to, but man, there's some benefits to doing it.
Yeah, BYU is a great school. I really enjoyed going to school there. I probably wouldn't pick chemistry again.
Yeah.
I really
one hard class. That was my one hard class. I did badly in chemistry.
Oh, you know, the funny thing is, I think I ended up in chemistry for a really stupid reason. I mean, there was a reason. I looked at it as I really wanted to get an MBA school, go to MBA school. I really wanted to be in sales. That's what I thought I was going to do with my life. But really what I like to do is innovate. And it's what I really like to do is innovate. But it's so BYU or chemistry has math, it's got chemistry, it's got physics, and it's got some applied biology. And that's why I picked it. It was well-rounded. But I also had a high school chemistry teacher that told me I couldn't do it. So I was like, I was going to prove her wrong. Now, I've never seen her since.
Yeah.
And it was like, you tell me I can't do it. Gosh darn it, I'm going to.
Yeah, that's one of the most motivational things. I thought the other day, I should have like a chip on your shoulder binder or something, just with emails and statements by people telling me I can't do things, because that's been a huge motivating force, actually.
That's a good idea. I mean, it's a really good idea. Although I find that I need more of vision boards.
Yeah.
You know, so that it's like
forward looking.
Yeah. There's a movie, and shoot, I can't remember the movie now. It's about an Australian family that came to the United States, and they were a Christian, but their kids end up making it in you know, anyway, the music industry. Okay. But it was and they put a vision. You know, they were desperate. They were really desperate because they couldn't. They were out of money, and they were not humble. And anyway, they were trying to be, you know, do it themselves. And they started. The wife started putting, you know, words on the wall, and all of a sudden, like, the church would show up with what they needed.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and so it's like, sometimes you need to say what you need. I think I'm that way. I am very self-conscious about asking for help.
Right.
And so that's and it's hard. It's hard. And I think that's one of the things that I think I have to learn is to ask for help.
Well, also the being specific about what you want, like that vision board. I don't think I saw the movie. It's not ringing a bell, but something like that is. I always felt like as an attorney, but in business too, if I go into a meeting knowing exactly what outcome I want, I'm pretty confident it's going to go that way. Like I think we'll do a good job of getting it there. The problem is if I float along and don't know exactly what I'm looking for in some transaction, then who knows what will happen.
Yeah, that makes sense. So have you so how long have you been working at Tech Transfer?
Yeah,
so you look pretty young. You've got
thanks. Well, 15 years. So I'm pushing 50 here. I'm getting there.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Well, you don't look it.
Okay, thanks. Take it.
So any so tell me about I mean you gotta see so many innovative things.
Oh, yeah.
And that's gotta have a joy to it, like a real just watch. I mean, everybody loves the Discovery Channel because just the innovative things and things. I mean, is there sometimes you come to work and just go, we just discovered this?
Absolutely. Yep. Yeah. So let's see. In a typical year, I feel like baseline would be getting 60 new disclosures per year here, but this year I think we've had more like 85 or something. So say 60 to 100 new technologies per year, and some of them are unbelievably amazing. Many of them are like business to business things or manufacturing improvements or something that isn't as visually exciting, but every once in a while you just know something's going to have a huge impact or it's amazing. So Daniel Smalley's technology, when I first heard about it, the volumetric display technology, you can find it on YouTube pretty easily, but it's a 3D image suspended in the air. Like he uses invisible lasers to move around particles, then you hit them with other lasers to light them up. So it's like a 3D display in the air. So think of like a drone show where you see all the drones, but it's that little particles in the air right in front of you. And so it needs to be scaled up and they keep working on it, but it's potentially a really high resolution 3D image in there. That's amazing for advertising, for signage, for toys, for all kinds of things. That'll be incredible.
So when I was at BYU, I was working in theoretical chemist, and what they were trying to, if you're familiar with RNS molecules, anyway, the RNS is basically like if you said ibuprofen, for instance, it actually has an RNS version. So when it makes one, it makes half of the other. Yeah. So we were trying to come up with, and they ended up coming up with a column that would separate RNS so you could have more potent drugs. Okay. Sure. And it was anyway, it was really interesting to be part of that. I was early on, so what I ended up working on didn't end up being used, but there was a different molecule that ended up being used.
Yeah, see, that's amazing. And when you just see something like that and you think of the potential of it, and we're going to get in about 2 years we'll have our medical school here, and it's going to focus on humanitarian applications. So there could be some pretty amazing things.
Yeah, there's my dad's cousin was Don Bloxham, and you probably he's been retired for a while. He just died a few years ago, but he was the pre-med advisor for probably 25, 30 years. So when I was going there, he was the pre-med advisor, but so he would be he would have been one of the precursors to bringing the med school here. Nice. So I think anyway, but
yeah, that's great.
Put a lot of people from BYU in med school.
Yeah, and it's going to be huge. And I've met some of the people, the new leadership of the med school. They're going to be terrific. Here's one other thing that has me excited lately. So what I'd like to do with Tech Transfer is provide startup opportunities for any student that wants them. I think of it as like startup in the box. Like if you're a student, think about the future of education. If you go to a university, you might want to go work for IBM, but you also might want to just do your own thing. And if there's a really like safe, de-risked way to launch a startup, that would be a great thing. And so that's, we're working on that a lot. But then I posted a technology on LinkedIn a few weeks ago for license to students. And I got inquiries from 3 students in Africa who had finished the BYU Idaho Pathways program there.
Oh,
And they said,
really?
hey, would we count as students to license something? And so we've done a deal with an entrepreneur who is a return missionary, Pathways graduate, lives in Nigeria. And so if we can create opportunities for people, like have a little geo arbitrage, like even a small opportunity could be really meaningful. That's got me thinking. I'm pretty excited as well.
Yeah, that's fascinating. I mean, that really broadens the scope.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Yeah.
I hadn't even thought about doing that.
Yeah.
So the BYU is has always been a different animal than like the University of Utah or the a lot of other universities. And when I say that, I mean, people don't realize that like 60% of the University of Utah is graduate students. I mean, it's a huge number.
Right.
Where BYU is like 20%, maybe.
That's probably right. Yeah.
So it's a really very different academy, but it's really the different mission. And that's what I think is interesting about BYU is BYU is really good. We go up and we get hired to go speak for a keynote for the med school, but it's for undergraduate. They're trying to recruit undergraduate students to work in the labs.
Yeah.
So they're but the number of jobs in the labs are they're just amazing. I mean, huge. I mean, lots of. I mean, anyway, I'm not articulating this very well, but the scale of number of jobs, I guess, is as an undergraduate or so much larger at the U. Because of that dichotomy, but at the same time, I really love the mission of BYU as being education focused. Yeah. And although I think that'll change as the med school comes.
Well, and we accidentally, I don't know if you saw it, I think it was a year ago or so, without meaning to, BYU became classified as an R1 research institute just because of the amount of research funding. And because there are fewer grad students at BYU, we have some great grad students and we've done startups with them as well. But it does mean that students working in labs are more likely to be undergrads. And we had some good publicity a couple months ago because a report came out about patents coming from universities. And most of the patents that come out of BYU have student inventors on them. So these are, I mean, a lot of those are undergrad students who are working with a professor and now they're on a patent and maybe it's getting commercialized. So pretty great opportunities there.
I've been wanting to part of my journey, I guess, in interviewing people is I kind of want to build a course on how to write your own patent. Because I just finished writing. It took me a year to write it, and it seems just so trivial. It's another ice cream patent using liquid nitrogen.
Cool.
It's but it took me. Writing a patent it's style writing, in my opinion, and it's it's complicated. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it's not complicated, and you do need advice. And there's a big difference between a patent agent and a patent attorney. I mean, there's a huge difference as far as like how do you word things. Patent agents are much more narrow. And where patent attorneys tend to be more creative on the way they craft the claims.
And if anyone doesn't understand, you can be a patent agent without having gone to law school. So
right,
a person you graduate with a degree in chemistry or something, you can take the patent bar and be a patent agent and start writing. Where a patent attorney would be someone who's gone to law school, and so they are going to be more focused on kind of legal writing conventions and things. Yeah,
but it's but anyway, my point is the biggest thing you have to do is describe the product. And oftentimes that is so difficult to do when you're trying to describe exactly what's happening, in the timelines and whatever it is on whatever the product is. So being able to write that is the patent attorney is not going to be necessarily as good as you are at writing that part of it.
Yeah, our best patent attorneys, and we use a lot of firms and we outsource all of it, but our best patent attorneys really get involved with professors and have a lot of back and forth. because you have to make sure you really understand it.
Mm.
We have Adam Stevens, who does our life sciences licensing here in Tech Transfer. He was at Curtin McConkie for like 16 or 17 years. So we have some good patent experience here, and that's been helpful. But yeah, it is a complicated thing. With students, like in the Student Innovator of the Year competition that we were talking about, they often wonder about patenting. And I tell them, look, anyone can file a provisional patent application, and it might be a good exercise just to do that. So go to uspto.gov and maybe think about doing that. I do think if you were designing a course just to teach people about entrepreneurship, filing a provisional patent application would probably be worthwhile.
Yeah, and the patent office, I've noticed the last few years as I've been doing it myself, they actually have really, really good tech support. And so if you need to call somebody and actually work with somebody at the patent office, that they actually go through a pretty good job at helping you through the process, because the process itself is that's probably the most convoluted.
Yeah.
Just getting the process. I found I anymore I don't use the P-tab anymore. I just fax it.
Okay. Yeah.
Because I don't have to worry about like the errors that come up because you didn't fill some who knows what in. But as long as you fill out the forms and fax it, but fax is still their preferred method, I guess it looks like.
Yeah, I will say, if anyone, so I've had 15 years in tech transfer. During that time, it sure seems to me that the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office has become faster and more efficient in every way. So it's been nice to see. They're actually, I think, doing a really good job.
Yeah, I've been helping another guy with a patent case, that and more of just defending his patent, and he's actually had some people think like when you get a patent, you get a patent and therefore you have all these rights and things like that. But the problem is, those rights can be challenged. And so it doesn't mean that your rights are there for forever. They're number one, they do expire. And number two is that anybody can challenge that patent at any point in time in the life cycle of the patent.
Yeah. And I know you've dealt with infringers. And if someone's infringing it, it's not self-enforcing. You're going to have to sue someone and take some action.
Yeah, exactly. And that's expensive. And it's also very technical. There's a lot of ins and outs. And one thing that I'm trying to learn more about what happened with the American Inventors Act in 2011. I know one thing that changed was that false markings, where it used to be that anybody could challenge, or if somebody said, hey, I have a patent and they don't, that anybody could bring a case against them. And since then, there's not been not one actual case that's been brought before a judge for false markings. And so it's the negative part of that is that right now anybody can say I have a patent and nobody's going to enforce it, because it's the scope of who can actually bring the case and have standing is so narrow that until this case that I'm helping out on, no one's actually gotten a court date.
Oh wow.
So it's because it's been thrown out in summary judgment because of not having standing.
Oh, got it.
Because now it's only the patent or the federal government or somebody that has been actually proven to have damages. And so for instance, like if Crocs, for instance, there was it was a Lanham Act, not an American Inventors Act case that was last year that was ruled on, but where Crocs said they had a patent and challenged somebody else that, I don't know, it was really complicated. It's convoluted, but they were both shoe manufacturers. And so they were head to head. So anyway, if they, so it made it very narrow of who could actually make a claim.
So they had standing because they're a competitor.
Yeah. No, that was a different act. That was a Lanham Act.
Okay. Yeah.
Versus the American Inventors Act. So this is the first time that the American Inventors Act has been enforced in false markings or has been heard, I should say. So it's anyway. I think that the other thing that's changed is, first to file versus first to invent. And I think that that's something that really people need to really know, is that it's you need to file. If you have an idea, file that provisional patent application, because that's what will protect you in that.
Yeah, it is. And so prior to 2015, it was not a race to the courthouse here. It was just whoever invented first, but now it is. So I always tell, when we're talking to students about these issues, I'll say, look, if you're working on a cutting edge issue, there's a chance that someone on the other side of the country or other side of the world is too. And you have to be an inventor to file in the US, but you got to be the first one to file. So definitely get on it.
Right. Yeah. And it's so it's that so anyway, what I was so if you're going to file, you'd want to kind of know whether somebody is working on it. So how would you go about searching to see if there's prior art, and how would you go about looking to see for that, or see if that applies, that other prior art exists?
Yeah, so I don't do a lot of that personally. We have so law firms will do searches, and usually they'll have like tiered pricing on doing prior art searches, and there a lot of it. You can do cheaper prior art searches if you outsource it to another country. So there are lots of firms in India that will do those sorts of searches for you.
Okay.
But prior art could be anywhere. We had a patent one time where we had we asked the attorney to work on the application, and then it was a busy time of the year, and so a few weeks later we get the application and we file it. But in the intervening time, just in those few weeks, random guy on his blog had posted something that was relevant to our filing.
Whoa.
And that is prior art. Prior art isn't just another patent filing. It isn't just another academic paper.
Right.
It's a post on Instagram or anything. And so so that counted. So because it could be literally anything, you can imagine how hard it is to search for it. You've got to search like all written records that have ever been produced. And so yeah, probably best to have a firm do it when possible. But yeah, there are things that can happen. So definitely you want to get something on file when you can.
Yeah, and the first patent we put through for Sub-Zero, the patent attorney I was working for or working with, his approach was like, file it, let the patent office find a lot of the prior art for you, and then worry about it later. And it was kind of, but that is one of, so anyway, as part of that, getting the provisional is a big part of that. Get the provisional. If there's prior art, if the prior art's there, it doesn't matter. The provisional is the key factor.
Yeah, absolutely. I actually don't know the answer to this, but you raised the issue of how hard should you look for prior art. Like, you have a duty of candor where you have to disclose things you know about, but how thorough of a search is enough? You just have to make those judgments, I guess.
Well, and I even still look for prior art for myself, because I just want to know, and I also want to validate for myself, like whether I'm valid or not, whether I'm a fraud. It's like it's more of a self worth thing when you own a patent,
right?
And but it's also educating yourself and knowing your product even better. So it's and being able to pick it apart and pick your product apart. And so what's wrong with it? What has somebody else done? Why did you end up coming up with this and somebody else didn't? And understanding what your experience is. And I'm going to leave it at we probably ought to, we've been going for about an hour now. So it's I know I really appreciated your time. But I wanted to make one comment in this one thing I'd like to, I wanted to ask you about your background and where you came from, because all those experiences have an impact on your job that you have now, the people that you impact and deal with. And so I really want to encourage everybody to look at self-reflect on what makes them unique, because every one of those aspects, like I wouldn't have come up with Sub-Zero if it hadn't had a chemistry degree, hadn't had some mechanical experience with the Air Force, and and I'd bought a food franchise. So if I
Yeah.
hadn't had those 3 experiences, I would have never thought of Sub-Zero, wouldn't even had any idea of what to do.
Yeah, and tech transfer, what like I see a lot of what I'm doing now is systems design and just seeing where tech transfer can go, and knowing the legal career, 6 years for me, was really made it so I can be confident about what's legally possible. Like just knowing the boundaries, what things you have to navigate is super helpful in what I do now. And obviously the business and tech transfer experience has just been a huge part of it.
Right. So let me ask you one more thing. I'm just curious. How does AI what do you see this impacting tech transfer, and how you think things might speed up as far as discovering new things?
Yeah, so it has been so interesting to me. I think I've kind of been on it since they unveiled ChatGPT. What was that, December 21 or something like that?
Yeah.
But so these few years, I might be off a year there, but I've been on it, and I just knew there would be an opportunity. I remember a couple of years ago saying, look, there's going to come a time when we can just tell the AI, create a video of this product that doesn't even exist yet, to illustrate to people how to use it. And actually that's happening tomorrow. As we record this tomorrow, for the first time, I'm posting a Sora video to illustrate one of my posts about one of our technologies. And it shows it perfectly demonstrates a person using it, and it looks real. And so, so for content and marketing, it's been great, and I knew it would be. But I talked to you about my coders here that I use to create software.
Yeah.
They're using AI tools. Many of them, most of them are computer science students, but also we use Lovable and other tools to help create the software, which is great and makes things faster. So yeah, in terms of marketing, it's incredible for tech transfer. The ability to convey complex ideas quickly, including about things that don't exist yet, is great. And then in terms of discovery, we'll get to a point. Wasn't there a thing 3 or 4 weeks ago? AI for the first time solved a math problem that no one had solved before. And so what we're kind of waiting for is when AI can really do actual invention, like really in an autonomous way create things. And we're in this weird time right now where I've thought for the past few years, you have an adoption curve for any new technology, and people get all hyped up, but then they lose interest. And I thought, how is anyone going to lose interest in AI? It's moving so fast, but we seem to be there. Like a lot of people are really cynical of AI right now.
It can get complicated, and if you don't take it step by step, then it can be intimidating, just like writing software or any or CAD or any other discipline.
Yeah.
And it's becoming broader, but where there's different channels, and so being able to focus on what you need, it's like any tool. So I don't pick up a hammer for for screwing a screwdriver in, or a screw in. Anyway, you get my point. And I think understanding where the tool and what tool to use at the time, but at the same time, you can use it to create tools, and like you haven't been able to do before. I was using a site locator, for stores.
Yeah.
And I was having a terrible time getting it to work. It was a great one. Everybody raved about it, talked about how, and I was always having it airing out. And I was like, and then I thought, let's just go to Lovable and tell it to build something for me. And sure enough, it builds it, and it's better and faster and has, it's, and if I want to add things onto it, I can add things onto it. I've got, so it's really interesting to see like where you can have it be, anyway.
Yeah, well, people, I've been intrigued. People will tell you, which I think is an inspiring thought, is that AI will never be worse than it is right now. Like we all expect it to do magical things in the future, which I'm sure it will. But I'm telling you, if AI never advanced at all, if it just completely halted, stopped where we're at now, it'll still revolutionize everything.
Oh, yeah.
Let's use the tools we have right now. The economy is going to be just completely overhauled. So, and I can't wait. I'm really excited about it.
Yeah, I've had a review. The funny thing is, this patent attorney that I'm using right now for this case, on this patent I just submitted, I was struggling with the claims. I was really struggling with the claims, but I told an AI tool. I don't remember whether it was, I think I might have used Claude for this because Claude's a little bit better for technical things. But and so I said, take my old patent, fashion the claims like this, where it goes broader and broader and broader. Anyway, and it did it, and I sent it over to him to review it, and he made just a few comment changes. And he says, "Wow, that was really good. How'd you write that?" And I said, "I had Claude write it."
Yeah.
I was like, yeah. And but anyway, it was kind of interesting to see that it can really help you a lot. It's not always right.
Right.
Like I've had it review contracts, and sometimes it may not be, have all the right legal references, but it does a pretty good job.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll still hallucinate for me sometimes, but mostly pretty good. I tend to use Perplexity to fact check things a lot, just to be sure.
That's one I haven't used yet. I go back and forth between Claude and ChatGPT and Gemini and I'll use the same problem to see whether they come with the same answer or similar answers, or check each other against, especially when it comes to, but what I find interesting is that on a court case, I can usually say what's happening on the court case, and it can actually read the docket and say the judge has made this,
Yes, amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. All right, well, thank you. I really appreciate your time. Now, did we hire your daughter? Did we have your daughter?
Yes, my daughter worked for you. She worked at Sub-Zero in Provo, and she's always working. She's very worky, and so she's always working multiple jobs. So she switched and isn't working there, but she did like it. And I definitely stopped there and ate ice cream a few times while she was there. It was great.
Oh, good.
And she did not give me a discount, so be very proud of her.
Well, you were definitely welcome to it because you're definitely family. So it's, but I remember making a post about how it's interesting that we have, as business, fast food business or whatever, we end up teaching other people's children how to teach or how to work. And because my dad grew up in an area where he felt like farming was how you taught your kids how to work. We didn't have a farm. My dad's an architect, so he bought a building. Okay. And so it was like, that's what I learned. How I learned growing up how to work was like, okay, go work on the 4-story building, it was a 1914 building, so we're restoring it.
Yeah.
So it was like, gotta get your hands dirty. No, so it's great. Anyway, well, thank you. I appreciate that. Tell her hi for us, and love to see her again.
Hey, thanks. Appreciate it. And great talking to you, Jerry. Really appreciate that.
Thank you.
All right, take care.